I always try to make good and useful videos, but I think this one is really eye-opening. We always hear about the female gaze and how women view attractiveness differently, and that's what pretty much every black pillar, including myself, tries to understand. We try to understand the female gaze. So I thought to myself, what if instead of trying to guess the female gaze, actually ask for it? So what I did is ask 2 of my female friends to rate some celebrities and YouTubers. I'm pretty sure you've seen the same concept on other videos, so what makes this one so special? Well, it's actually a number of reasons. The primary reason is the level of comfort and trust I have with these girls. This helps a lot with cutting through the BS, because I've seen 2 different types of answers. Some girls try to be politically correct and look nice on camera, so others don't judge them back, while others try to seem too cool for school and they rate male models 0 or 2 out of 10. And it's actually insane that people believe that. They think that girls have so insanely high standards that they view O Pry as a 3, for example. Of course, that doesn't happen in real life. Girls aren't as nice or as strict as they appear to be when a stranger shoves a camera in their face and asks them to rate faces. The truth is somewhere in the middle. And I think I made a pretty good job of ensuring that we'll get the real female gaze. The girls won't appear on camera, so no fear of judgment, and they also don't know each other, so the ratings they gave are completely independent. I say this because that's also common. Some girls just want to comply with the popular opinion, but not in this case, because they rated first and then I revealed my own ratings. Before we started rating, I made sure that we spoke the same language, and I'll explain what I mean to you as well. The numbers can be confusing. For example, a 7 for one person might mean attractive but nothing special, while on another person's system might mean near perfect. So here's what the numbers in our scale represent. 1 or 2, extremely unattractive. Not much explanation needed. 3 means unattractive. 4 means slightly unattractive. 5 means average or nothing special, neither pretty or ugly. 6 means kinda cute. 7 means quite attractive. 8 means extremely attractive, and 9 or 10 means perfect or near perfect. So, let's begin with Daniel Radcliffe. My friend Vaso rated him as a 6 in this particular photo. It is indeed a good photo of him, keep that in mind. She liked the eye color and the overall facial structure, meaning the cheekbones and the jawline. She found his eyebrows a bit too bushy and messy, and she also didn't like his lips. My friend Eva gave him a 5. She also liked the eye color and the jawline. She liked the bearded style and his skin in this particular photo. But she also commented on the same negatives. She found his eyebrows bad and his lips too thin. Eva also talked a lot about the gaze. She said some people had a nice gaze while others didn't. She said that Daniel didn't have a nice gaze. She also didn't like the nose and found his face a bit too small, meaning that all the characteristics are closer to each other than they should be. I found it fascinating how girls talk about these subjects. They won't use exactly our terminology, but they do notice the things we talk about. You'll see what I mean later. Anyway, my rating in this particular photo is a 6. The girls covered most of the points, and I don't want to go in depth on every face because the video will be too long. However, take a look at this one. When I showed this photo to Vaso, she immediately rolled her eyes and said that he looks terrible here, especially his eye area. So have in mind that this is a limitation of the video, and also in real life to an extent, especially for people in the middle of attractiveness. If you are on the extremes, for example Brad Pitt or Danny DeVito, you'll probably look great or bad in every photo, but people in the middle can look a bit different from picture to picture, or from picture to video or video to real life. Anyways, on to the next one. Tom Holland got a unanimous 6. We all said pretty much the same things. He has a well-defined face, nice jawline, clear skin and a nice smile. But he also has bad eyebrows, big ears and thin lips. This was actually something I thought didn't matter that much, but both girls made lots of comments on lips for almost every guy. Another interesting comment by Vaso for Tom was that she thought that his wrinkles on his eye area are kinda charming. This is definitely something I would never say. That's a good example of the female gaze. They can pick up on little things that we dismiss or even deem unattractive. And again, not every girl will find these small lines or dimples attractive, but the important thing here is that they notice even the smallest things. Let's move away from celebrities and talk about the Manosphere for a moment. Austin Dunham is our next guy, and many consider him to be very attractive, and so do all 3 of us. He got 2 8s and an 8.5 by Vaso. There's not much to talk about here. As Eva put it, I could barely find any negatives. Something that is worth mentioning is once again the female gaze comments. Vaso loved Austin's dimples, which again is something I wouldn't notice. If you look carefully you can see a little bit of sclera show, meaning the white part of the eye under the iris. Many people find it unattractive, but Eva likes it if it's minimal. And this wasn't a comment for Austin, It was on another conversation, so it's not a halo effect. So once again, girls might have some little special preferences that others either dismiss or find unattractive. I've seen guys freaking out about their sclera show or their little wrinkles, while some girls might find those cute. Again, within reason. If your sclera shows too much or your wrinkles are too deep, you'll just seem old and tired. Of course, after Austin we'd have to talk about Jacked and Stacked. I thought that he's quite close to a 7, but I wasn't sure because I like his content and agree with him on many things, so I thought that maybe I'm biased and rate him a bit higher than he actually is. But it turns out that the girls rated him the same as me and even more. Vaso gave a 7 and Eva gave a 7.5. What really stood out to all of us was his glowing skin. So things are pretty boring so far cause our ratings were almost identical, so let's spice it up a bit. Alexander Grace had been rated by Wheat Waffles and I think he got a 6. I like Alexander as a person a lot. I've watched many of his videos and I don't want this to seem like a diss, but he was a part of the ratings, so I have to be honest with what happened. I showed him to Vaso and she had really bad expression on her face and gave him a 3. I'm like, are you sure? That's a bit too harsh. She said yes, I'm sure, so I'm like, okay, that's the point of this video after all, we can't agree on everything. I thought it was random, but I asked Eva and she gave him also a 3, and both girls commented on the exact same things. They both had a big problem with the nose shape, even though I don't think it's that bad. The obvious was of course the receding hairline/forehead size and wrinkles, which is understandable, and they both talked about his eyes having a negative tilt. This was very bizarre to me because he doesn't have a negative canthal tilt. They were actually talking about the upper area, meaning the eyelid and the eyebrows, and they indeed seemed to be negatively tilted. Maybe I didn't choose good pictures. I even showed Vaso some more, but she insisted. I think the assumed age has much to do with this, even though the girls didn't put it this way. Vaso is 25 and Eva is 21, so we're talking about young girls, and most of the guys I included are also young and look youthful as well, while Alexander seems quite older. I think that women over 30 wouldn't be as harsh, but anyway. I had Alexander as a 5, but yes, I don't know what else to add. Let's return to the celebrities and talk about Neymar. Now, this is Vaso's crush, so I thought she would be unreasonable by giving him a 9.5 or something. She actually gave him an 8, while Eva gave a 7 and I gave a 7.5. The obvious flaw is his forehead, which is a result of a receding hairline because he didn't always look like this. Other than that, we all agreed that he had a great smile, good eye area, and the girls absolutely loved the style. Eva also mentioned that he could have a better under eye area. Vaso also spoke a lot about the vibe he's giving off. He described him as both cute and sweet and charming and sexy. So yeah, pretty big crush, but I have to agree, he's a good example of female gaze maxing. Now, let's see a not so good example of female gaze maxing. I asked the girls to pick the most attractive guy, and the both said the one on the left and gave him a 7. I think he's an 8, but anyway, the point is that the other two guys are way too feminine for most girls. I'm sure they have their simp armies, but my guess is that the girls who are into guys with makeup etc. must be very young. It was a huge no-no for both girls. They couldn't even rate, they said that objectively they are handsome, but way too feminine for their taste. Jeremy Meeks was rated as a 9 by both girls. The only negative comment was his eyebrows by Vaso, while Eva thought his interocular distance is a bit too big, but I think it could be an illusion due to his eyes being super narrow. Anyway, he's near perfect, while O Pry got an 8.5 by both girls. When we're talking about the top, there's obviously not much difference, as both girls were ecstatic about both guys, but I was curious why Jeremy was perceived as slightly better looking than Sean. It ultimately came down to uniqueness for Vaso, and Eva thought that Sean's forehead is a bit small and his lips look a bit weird. The reason why Eva was making more observations and comments is because we had more time on our hands, so she really tried to do full face analysis. Once again, 8s and 9s get very similar reactions, so it doesn't matter that much, but for the sake of it I'll place both guys at 9. Let's move away from supermodels and talk again about the Manosphere. Julien Blanc received a 3 by Vaso and a 4 by Eva. Vaso didn't know where to start with the negatives, really struggled to find any positives. Eva found his smile nice, but other than that no other positives. The big thing for me is his forehead, which in most cases isn't that big of a deal, but in this case it is. High body fat, rounded jawline, receding hairline, and nothing to counterbalance the negatives except for the smile. I will also hand out a 4, and again no hate, I used to watch a lot of Julien back in the day. Maverick got a 7.5 by both girls with identical comments. He's obviously quite attractive, but they immediately noticed the negative eye tilt and also thought his forehead was a bit bigger than average. It looks like negative tilt is a huge thing for girls, whether it's the canthal or the eyebrows. I still think that Brett has a good eye area due to his eye color and eyebrows, so I'll give him an 8. First man was a controversial one. Vaso gave him a 6 and she thought he looked very different from one photo to the next. She really liked the side profile but not so much the front, especially the one where he has that huge goatee on top of the beard, which makes his face excessively long. She also didn't like the ears, but liked the gaze, the beard and the eyebrows. Eva gave him a 4, which I think was the biggest difference between the two girls. She also liked the gaze and she liked the lips too, but she didn't like the ears, the head shape, the nose and the wrinkles. I can see both sides. First man is male gaze maxed, meaning he looks very alpha and many men would consider him as tough competition, but I can also see why some young women wouldn't be into him. The bald head is really a wild card too. I'll give him a 6, having in mind that women close to their 30s will find him more attractive than the average guy, as he looks like someone who can provide security, but many younger women will be more into the pretty boy type. Hamza was also a controversial one. Vaso's face literally lit up when she saw him and she gave him an 8. I'm like, are you sure? She said yes, great smile, nice gaze, nice symmetry. I go, what about his eyes? She's like, they suit his face well. And that's another thing I noticed. Women look at faces as one entity and talk a lot about harmony instead of individual characteristics, while us men are more like, oh, he has prey eyes, instantly -2 points. Eva gave him a 6.5. She liked the smile, the lips, the hair and facial hair. She didn't like the under eye area and also found that his left and right sides are a bit asymmetrical. I'll also give Hamza a 6.5. And trust me when I say this, I don't like the guy, all this Jeffrey and Adonis stuff is getting cringier and cringier, but he is comfortably above average. As for the eyes, again, you have to take into consideration the harmony and the different phenotypes. If you do the swap face thing on an app, you'll see that clearly. Some characteristics look good on some people and weird on others. In this case, sure, maybe Hamza would be more attractive with less upper eyelid exposure, but his eye area isn't that bad for his face, it kinda suits him. Another controversial one was Alex Turner. Vaso gave him a 5. She liked the style and the hair, but he wasn't anything special in her eyes. Eva, however, liked him a lot and gave a 7. And again, maybe there's some bias when it comes to popular people, like I said Neymar is Vaso's crush, and mine was Aubrey Plaza. Some people might consider her a 5 but I really liked her, I think mostly because she resembled my ex. So anyway, back to Alex. You might think that this guy has terrible eye area, but Eva actually liked his eyes. I guess they fit his youthful appearance, so they don't look as bad on him. Now imagine an ultra-masculine guy like Jason Statham with these eyes. He would be a joke, since his whole gimmick is being a tough guy, but the pretty boys can somewhat get away with not having a masculine eye area. Eva thought the nose was a bit too big and his face a bit narrow. I think Alex is a 6 and another great example of female gaze maxing. If you watch the comments under his songs, there are tons of girls simping for him. And last but not least, Wheat Waffles. Vaso gave him a 4. She really didn't like the hair color and the eyebrows. She said that besides them being almost invisible, the corners are way too up and she even asked me if he's done some type of brow lift. On the positive, she liked the smile. Eva gave him a 5. She actually liked the hair color and she also liked his smile, but she didn't like the jawline, the eyebrows and the lips. I actually agree with Wheat's self-assessment, which was a 5.5 I think. He doesn't have any major flaws other than the eyebrows, which I think don't look thick due to the very bright color, but other than that, there are no major flaws and he has great teeth, which I think is enough for him to be slightly above average. So, that was definitely a huge one for me. I learned a lot of things. I kinda underrated the importance of the lips and mouth in general. It's not just the lip size, they also really look at the symmetry of the mouth. They also notice the ears more than I thought. I was surprised that they knew about the negative tilt in the eye area. I thought they would be vague about it, saying something like I don't like his eyes, but they actually used the relevant term. Hunter eyes are definitely a big bonus, but they're not as necessary as many black pillars including myself thought. Girls are more expressive when talking about attractiveness, they talk a lot about what energy they get off of each guy. They'll say things like charming, unique, cute, unbelievable gaze, things that aren't quantifiable. We saw some surprising ratings such as Hamza's 1.8, or Alexander's 3s, but overall our ratings weren't that different. Girls have a bit stronger stance on their preferences and they're not afraid to hand out a 3 or an 8 if they genuinely think so, while I on the other hand was a bit more conservative with my approach, and my ratings were more towards the center. There definitely were limitations, such as the pictures. If I had limitless resources to create a face rating service, I would have women from different age brackets, different ethnicities etc. etc. Because a very masculine man in his mid-30s might be more attractive in the eyes of an Eastern woman approaching her 30s, or a guy who looks like K-pop star may be more appealing to a 19-year-old American girl who listens to that kind of music, etc., etc. As we saw, there's some room for individual preference, but overall the ratings weren't far apart in most cases, and the girls noticed the same things most of the time. To be honest, I thought that they would be harsher considering that we're talking about two pretty girls in their prime with an SMV through the roof. What did you think of their ratings? Comment below and also suggest more faces for a future video.